Welcome back. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about all the releases of everyone's favorite dynamic duo of the Star Wars original trilogy, Han and Chewie. I'm going to be talking about all their vintage figures released between 1978 and 1985 in Kenner's Star Wars, Empire, Jedi, and Power of the Force lines. I'll be touching on topics including what weapons they came with, variants, or lack thereof, card backs, and much more. Han Solo and his walking carpet co-pilot Chewbacca were two of my favorite characters in the movies growing up, but were the figures themselves anything to get excited about? Let's find out in this episode. Hello there, I'm Retro Roy and welcome to my YouTube channel, where I'll be posting short, bite-sized videos of vintage action figures and collectibles from my modest collection. I'll take viewers on a journey of discovery as I break down several different action figure lines, one figure, ship, creature, and playset at a time. I hope you enjoyed the video, I hope you have fun, and I hope you learned something. So let's get started.
Retro Roy Talks Toys!
Let's start this with Han Solo. Han was first released in 1978 on the 12-back card. Unlike his Wookiee co-pilot, Han was not part of the Kenner Early Bird kit. Due to the popularity, as well as being in each movie of the original trilogy, both Han and Chewie were available on a wide array of different card backs. Here's the breakdown. We're going to start with the small head Han. He was originally released on a Star Wars 12-back card, as well as the Empire Strikes Back 31-back card, before being discontinued. His replacement, the large head Han, was available on the Star Wars 12, 20, and 21-back cards. The Empire Strikes Back 21, 31, 32, 41, 45, and 47-back cards, as well as the Return of the Jedi 48, 65, 77, and 79 back cards. I'll go briefly into what exactly a big head and a small head Han are a little later in this video. Han Hoth was first released in 1980 and was available on the Empire Strikes Back 31, 32, 41, 45, 47, and 48 back cards. He was also available on a Return of the Jedi 48, 65, and 77 back card. Han Solo Bespin outfit was first released in 1981 on an Empire Strikes Back 41 back card. He was also available on an Empire Strikes Back 45, 47, 48 back cards, and Return of the Jedi 48, 65, 77, and 79 back cards. Han Solo Trenchcoat was first released in 1984 and was available on a Return of the Jedi 77 and 79 back cards. He was also available late in the line on a Power of the Force 92 back card. Speaking of late in the line, Han in Carbonite Chamber was released in 1985 as part of the Power of the Force line. He was only released on a Power of the Force 92 back card. And that is all of the vintage Kenner figures of Han Solo. So now on to Chewbacca. And here's where things get interesting. Here's all the Han Solo figures thus far that I've referenced. And for comparison, here's every single different Chewbacca that Kenner released over the entire vintage Star Wars line. That's it. One figure. Does anyone else see a problem here? Even though it was the same figure, Kenner was not shy on repacking Chewie over and over again. Chewbacca was available on a Star Wars 12-back card, as well as the 20 and 21-back cards. The Empire Strikes Back 21, 31, 32, 41, 45, 47, and 48-back cards. And the Return of the Jedi 48 and 65 back cards. Now, Kenner was nice enough to actually switch up his photos for the Return of the Jedi 65, 77, 79, and the Power of the Force 92 back cards. Okay, let's talk about the figures themselves. We'll start with articulation. Each of the Han Solo figures released in the vintage Kenner line has the same articulation, meaning each one has a standard of 5 points. For recap, they are head, shoulders, and hips. Nothing out of the ordinary here for Han. Things are a little different for our favorite Wookiee, where each Chewbacca figure only has 4 points of movement. Chewie has the same shoulder and hip articulation, but because of the sculpting, Chewie does not have articulation at his head, making him 4 points of articulation instead of the usual 5. Personally, I like the Chewbacca only having 4 points of articulation. There's just something charming and of the time about it. I think his simplicity is perfect. Now, on to variants. Right off the bat, let's talk about one of the most famous variants in the entire Kenner Star Wars line, the big head and small head variants of Han Solo. Kenner released 2 head variations of the vintage 1978 Han Solo action figure. I've heard different stories on the reasoning for the 2 different heads over the years. One story is Kenner felt the original small head sculpt did not fit the body's proportions, and the other story is Kenner was not satisfied with the original sculpt and wanted it to look more like Harrison Ford. Or maybe it's a combination of the 2 stories. Whatever the reason, Kenner released the small head Han first in early 1978 and ultimately redesigned and released a larger big head version later that year. Han Bespin and Han Hoth. Other than slight variations in the blue coats or the brown legs, there aren't any major variants of this figure that I can find. However, there is one minor variation on his card back. The name on the card pill changed from Han Solo Hoth outfit to Han Solo Hoth battle gear for figures released on the Return of the Jedi card backs. Han Endor. Han Trenchcoat does have a variant that is worth talking about. Let's talk about the 2 different sculpts for the head. Commonly referred to as the soft sculpt and the detailed sculpt. Here you can see that the figures, while similar at first glance, are actually different. The variants continue with the accessories of this figure, namely the trench coat, but I'll talk about that in the next segment. Han and Carbonite. As this figure is a Power of the Force exclusive and came out near the end of the Kenner Star Wars line, this figure was produced in much smaller numbers than its earlier counterparts, resulting in no known variants of this figure. Now, I could have sworn that I heard there was a variation of the Carbonite block, but my research on this topic has come up empty. I personally just think it was people misidentifying the much smaller Han and Carbonite block from the Slave One. It's very easy to distinguish between the 2 blocks, as the Carbonite block that comes with the Slave One is much smaller, and if you look close, is molded with no feet. Aside from some very minor paint variations, as well as the usual variants in the Country of Origin stamp, the Chewbacca figure that was first released in the mail-away pack remained pretty much the same throughout the entire vintage Kenner line. I personally think that this is a criminal act that should have no statute of limitations. I have no idea why Kenner would essentially only produce 1 Chewbacca figure throughout the line. Where's my Hoth Chewie? Jedi Prisoner Chewie? Ewok Capture Chewie? Trash Compactor Stinky Chewie? ATST Pilot Chewie? Swinging Tarzan Chewie? Or Falcon Repair Chewie? So many variations that I can think of that could have been produced but never were. I find it strange that Chewie is one of the main characters in one of the biggest franchises of all time, and Kenner only did 1 figure of him? Compound that onto the fact that Chewie didn't even receive a medal at the end of A New Hope, and I'm beginning to see some sort of discrimination against our 7'3" Wookiee friend. Maybe Chewie will fare a little better on our next segment. Regardless of the size of his head, vintage Kenner Han Solo was more often than not packed with his trusty Rebel Blaster. Without getting into the minutiae of the slightly different versions of the Rebel Blaster sculpts, just know that the first Han Solo figure was packed with a blue-black Rebel Blaster. Han Hoth was packed with a blue Rebel Blaster, and Han Solo Trenchcoat was packed with a black Rebel Blaster. To go with his all-new outfit on Bespin, the Bespin Han Solo was packed with a blue Rebel Blaster. Now let's move away from weapons briefly to talk about coats. Han Trenchcoat came with 2 slightly different coats. This accessory is available with camo on the lapel and without. To the best of my research for this video, the reason for the variance is chalked up to manufacturing inconsistencies and changes at the factory level during the production run of this figure. As far as Chewie is concerned, once again he gets the short end of the stick. All Chewbacca figures were packed with his bowcaster. The only real variance of note would be the color. Chewie's bowcaster was available in either black or blue. So, there you have it. Thanks for watching this action figure overview of 2 of my favorite characters from the original trilogy. Which Han Solo did you have growing up? Did you also wish Kenner gave us more Chewbacca figures? Are you a variant hunter, or are you happy with just 1 version of the figure? Leave a comment below and I'll see you on the next episode of
Retro Roy Talks Toys.